So, it's the end of yet another week, and here on this channel, that means one thing and one thing only. Every weekend I post an episode of this series we do called Your Take Not Mine, where I turn to you, the viewers, to give me your hottest NBA takes of the week based on what's going on at the time, and I then choose my favorite submissions, and discuss them in a video. We are still in the middle of the slow part of the off-season, and while there are still a few rumors floating around, and a handful of notable players still available as free agents, it's been mostly calm for a while, but we still definitely have plenty to discuss. In order to submit your takes, I make a community post on either the day of or the day before the video, similar to the one that you see on your screen now, so if you want a chance to be featured in a future episode, be sure to stay on the lookout for that. Before we start though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Jordan, and he says that the Phoenix Suns championship window has officially closed. When you hear a take like this, it obviously sounds like an overreaction because the Suns literally just finished last year with the best record in the NBA, but as you look more and more into the context surrounding their situation, along with how they outlook moving forward, you start to recognize that things aren't as bright as they seem down there. You can start with the way that they got eliminated from the postseason last year, as not only did they fall short of the conference finals, but they lost Game 7 against the Dallas Mavericks in absolutely humiliating fashion, despite being pegged by most as the clear better team. Last year was a perfect opportunity for them because quite a few other contenders were either having an unusually down season, or some of the best players were injured on the teams around them, and the Suns weren't able to take advantage of it. Now going into next season, the Suns have opted to largely run it back with the same team. But that series against the Mavericks could serve as a perfect analogy of the way that the league is headed. The younger teams that seemed a few years away from contention have quickly risen up to the top, and there is a changing of the guard coming. Other teams in the West are greatly improved and coming to make a leap next season, and the Suns stood pat. On top of that, the defending champions are also a Western Conference team, with the Warriors having won last year, and they're not going anywhere either. I have zero doubts in my mind that the Suns will once again be a dominant regular season team that will finish with one of the best overall records, but I don't think I have the confidence in them making a finals run next year as it currently stands. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Jay Sue, and he says that Jayson Tatum has already peaked, and that while he is definitely great as a two-way talent, he's not necessarily someone that can be a #1 guy on a championship team. This is a tough one because Tatum, without question, has so much talent, but he also has some shortcomings in his game that I'm not completely sure will just be fixed over time, and the benefit of the doubt being given to him because of his age is slowly fading. Jayson Tatum is someone who can score the ball at an elite level and catch fire like very few others in the league can, and on top of that, he is a tremendous perimeter defender that helped contribute to the Celtics being ranked as the top defense in the league last year. Right now, if you were to put together a rankings list of the best players in the NBA, Tatum would find himself as a fringe top 10 guy, and the general consensus is that a team needs a legitimate superstar leading the way in order to be able to compete and win a title, which is what makes this take so thought-provoking. Does Tatum fall onto the side of the list with the other superstar talent that can lead the way at the highest level, or is he just barely on the outside looking in as someone who needs to play alongside one of those players in order to win it all? I think Tatum's tendency to rely too much on settling for contested jumpers, and the fact that his shot selection down the stretch of their run last season remained a bit questionable, has me believing that he's on the outside looking into that superstar tier list we've been discussing, but he's legitimately as close as it gets to breaking through, so I disagree with the sentiment that he's peaked already. The next take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Madhu, and he says that Victor Oladipo will return to his former star caliber ways, which will then play a big part in the Miami Heat repeating as the top team in the Eastern Conference standings this season. I've discussed this a bunch in previous videos, but the Miami Heat, kind of like the Phoenix Suns, have also opted to largely run next season back with the same team without making any significant moves or additions in the offseason. They watched PJ Tucker leave to sign signed with the 76ers in free agency, and they drafted Nikola Jovic, but outside of that, it's going to be a lot of the same Miami Heat squad. The Heat were the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference last year, so of course, it's not the worst thing in the world to bring that team back for another run, but you're being willfully ignorant if you ignore all of the context and actually believe that NBA standings just stay the same year to year. The other teams in the East at the top have all either gotten better or healthier or a combination of both, as the Bucks will be getting Chris Middleton back, the Celtics acquired Malcolm Brogdon without losing any of their primary core guys, the Hawks traded for DeJounte Murray, and the 76ers got a good bit of quality depth pieces such as PJ Tucker and DeAnthony Melton. Standing still in a sporting world where other teams are actively making moves to pass you can come back to bite in the long run. The Heat are fully relying on Victor Oladipo to re-emerge to his prior all-star form in order to stay afloat, and the issue is that it has been a good 4 years since Oladipo has been that guy. He's still an outstanding perimeter defender, but offensively he's pretty inefficient as a volume scorer. I am by no means saying that the Heat are going to fall off, but I don't think Oladipo is going to be their savior either, so again, they'll be a really good regular season team, but the playoffs might be a different story. And finally, the last take we'll be discussing today comes to us from Johnny, and he says that Bradley Beal's contract will end up being the worst contract in NBA history. The Bradley Beal situation has been leading to this for a few years now, and while it ended up being the least surprising outcome of all time, it was also an outcome that rational fans thought was a terrible idea. Bradley Beal signed a contract extension this summer with the Wizards for 5 years worth $251 million. Bradley Beal is a fringe top 20 player in the NBA, being paid like an established superstar on a team with no real path to contending success in the near future. The Wizards are locking themselves into mediocrity for the immediate future, and on top of that, they gave Beal a no-trade clause in the contract, which is incredibly rare to find in NBA contracts throughout history, too. He's just the 10th player to ever get a no-trade clause, so now Beal has all of the power and the leverage over the Wizards. Beal has been vocal in the past about how he wants to compete for a championship and has expressed his disappointment with the Wizards at times too, so what is most likely going to happen is he will eventually request a trade away from the team, and because he has that no-trade clause in his contract, the Wizards won't even be able to extract the most value in return for him in a trade, because they will have to trade him somewhere that he wants to go, otherwise he'll just be able to veto the trade. There have been a lot of bad contracts in NBA history, but this one absolutely has the potential to become one of the worst of all. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about the takes we discussed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.